Prayer and the pledge, please.
Stand with me, if you will. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this season when we remember your first coming. Thank you, Lord, that you are a faithful God who fulfills every promise, and we can trust you, Lord, with everything, Father, because you've always been so faithful to us. I pray, God, that as we endeavor to do your will this night for the school district, Lord, that you would guide us, that you'd give us wisdom. Thank you, Lord, for your many, many blessings, for the blessing of being free in America, Lord, for the blessing of living in Clay County. And Lord, thank you for the trust that we have, Lord, to care for the children of this community. I pray, God, a special blessing on each and every one as we turn to this holiday season, Lord. May we remember that it's all about you and that you are the gift. And we ask all these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call the meeting of the Clay County School Board December 10th to order. Welcome, citizens of Clay County. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend tonight's school board meeting. This meeting is our opportunity as your elected representatives to collaborate openly and make decisions that will decide the future direction of our public schools and the education of our children here in Clay County. If you wish to address the board on an agenda item, there will be an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Please fill out a card, which you will find located in the back of the room, indicating the specific item number or topic you wish to speak about, and turn it in promptly to either Lieutenant Mills, Romano, or Chief Wagner, please. No additional cards will be accepted once the board moves to the public comment section under presentations from the audience. Your participation is welcomed and appreciated. The artwork in the back cases is on our display. It was created by K through 5 students who participated in the 2020 Founders Week Art Contest. And as you recall, we honored those students. They were darling, by the way, at our November 5th board meeting. So under recognitions and awards, we'll recognize the 2020-21 School-Related Employee of the Year and Teacher of the Year semifinalists. Ms. Troutman.
Is it on? Yeah. Good evening. It's my honor to be able to share with you and honor the semifinalists for both Teacher of the Year and School-Related Employee of the Year this evening. The school year has had some remarkable changes, to say the least. While changes have been made in both delivery of instruction and support of our students, the one thing that hasn't changed is the dedication of all our employees. They've stepped up to the plate and have gone above and beyond during these times. So these semifinalists that we're going to have a video and we'll show each one of them have been recognized, and they were selected by their colleagues for their exceptional contributions they've made to the students of our district. 5 finalists for each group are going to be surprised on Monday, December 21st. So 5 Teacher of the Year, 5 School-Related Employees of the Year will be surprised at their schools and told that they are one of the 5 finalists. I personally can't wait. It's an exciting time every year, and to see who those 5 finalists will be. I want everyone to know that all those that are going to be represented each school, they're all deserving of this recognition. And I want to thank the selection committees, because it is a difficult task. I've been on that before, and several of you board members have been. It is a difficult task to narrow it down to 5, and then even more difficult to narrow it to 1 school-related employee and 1 Teacher of the Year. So thank you to the selection committees. On January 28th, the winners will be announced at our Night of the Stars event, hosted by the Clay Education Foundation. That will be different this year, along with everything else. So stay tuned for more information on this grand event. And the Education Foundation is working very hard to make it a virtual but very special event. So it's my pleasure now to share with you the cohort of individuals who make up this year's semifinalists for Clay County School-Related Employee of the Year and Teacher of the Year. So congratulations to all of them. You may roll the video.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Troutman. We are looking forward to that January 28th event. And I know all of these finalists, the 10 for each, are probably happy that their questions have been answered and done, but are waiting with bated breath to see how things go. Our next presentation is from the Consortium of Florida Education Foundations, Kayla Buchanan and Mary Chance. Can't see behind the masks. That is you, Kayla, right? Hi, Tracy. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so much for allowing us to do this very special recognition tonight. Tracy Berger is here with us from the Consortium of Florida Education Foundations. She is the Director of Member Development there, and I think she has a few things to say.
Thank you, Michaela. Good evening, and it's a pleasure to be with you here tonight. The Consortium of Florida Education Foundation represents the local education foundations in nearly all of Florida's countywide school districts. We believe that strong local education foundations are essential for communities to close opportunity gaps and ensure educational success for all students. Through our Alliance of Local Education Foundations, we build statewide partnerships, innovate leading practices, and impact Florida students coast to coast. Each of our education foundations is somewhat unique, shaped by their local communities and priorities. And some of our education foundations were established more than 30 years ago and have several staff and a menu of programs. Some are more like fledgling organizations with a handful of dedicated and passionate volunteers just trying to put an event together to support their students and teachers in any way they can. But regardless of what they look like, one thing they have in common is they want to know that their school district leaders value the work that they do. They want to see their superintendents and school board members who are actively engaged with their organization. Each year, we invite our members to tell us about their STAR superintendents and school board members, leaders who make it a priority to foster business and community involvement through their local education foundation. This year, we had several great nominees, remarkable leaders who, despite the chaos and craziness and distraction of these last several months, have remained strongly and positively engaged with their local education foundation. So when you picture the ideal board liaison to an education foundation, you might imagine someone who is a strong advocate for the work they do, someone who shows up at events and in committee rooms, and someone who is a respected partner through tough situations and considering new ways of doing things. So that's exactly the type of leader we learned about in the nomination for this year's STAR School Board member. The Clay Education Foundation has had their share of ups and downs over the years. Even as a medium-sized Florida district with about 38,000 students, the foundation has had no dedicated staff for several years until a full-time executive director, Kayla, was hired a couple of years ago. At that time, there was just no real alignment between the foundation and the school district. As an educator with the district for 17 years, our STAR School Board member believed in the potential of the Clay Education Foundation, contributing personally through payroll deduction as a teacher, and now speaking to school faculties to encourage them to do the same. When she became a school board member 4 years ago, she was a steadfast leader during that transition to a full-time executive director and stepped up her involvement in ways that set the stage for exponential growth and impact for the foundation. She didn't hesitate to roll up her sleeves on what needed to be done, and as a respected leader, she mediated tough conversations between school district, community, and foundation leaders to work through past issues and build public trust. She helped develop better processes for reviewing grant requests that the foundation had, and then personally read nearly 100 applications. So she clearly understands that foundations require a working board, and she leads by example, often as the first to arrive and the last to leave events. She was described to us as a servant leader, a bridge builder, a stellar member of the community, a strong and respected advocate who sees no job too big or too small to tackle. So I'm honored to present to you today the our 2020 STAR School Board Member Award to your very own Mary Bola.
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
Thank you very much. That was very much a surprise. I'm very humbled by that. Those of you who work with the foundation, have received grants from them, you know that Kayla has done a phenomenal job the last couple of years. And bottom line, yes, we work hard, but we sure have fun together. And that's exactly what it's all about. And shameless plug, I think it's January 4th. Is that correct? For the next school giveaway or opportunity for picking up some tools for schools. So make certain that you put that on your calendar if you haven't yet. We'll be there handing things out. Thank you very much. This is the last call for comment cards. If you have a comment card, please give it to one of our officers. They will be happy to take it and bring it up. If anyone wants to address the board, and we ask you to fill out the comment card at this point, this is the last time that we will be taking them, and we will be using these for comments to the board from the public. There are a number of them this evening.
Excuse me,
Thank you.
Mrs. Bola?
Yes,
Did
Ms.
we have
Kirkus.
a school showcase?
Oh, I'm sorry, there is not not
okay.
a school showcase tonight. Thank you for asking. Sorry, there is no school showcase this evening. Thank you. All right, I'm just double checking, and I believe that these will all be in most of the same vein. One more, thank you. Last call for cards? Thank you. I'm going to start with Donna Mace. Come forward, share your name and also your address, please, at the podium.
My name is Donna Mace, and I live at 3570 Russell Road, Green Cove Springs, Florida. I'm here representing Opt Out Florida and Opt Out Clay. I hate public speaking. I was looking at your legislative priorities, and it says hold schools harmless from school grades based on the FSA. We would like to have students and teachers included in that. Students were somewhat addressed when it talked about their retention and promotion criteria, but we would like to also make sure placement is considered in the future for these children, and that teachers' VAM scores should not have these test scores included this year. And on the other vein, thank you for continuing One Clay online. It's working well for my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mace.
Mrs. Bola,
Yes.
what was it she asked for she'd like to continue?
The-
She'd like to add to our legislative priorities?
She wanted to hold teachers and students harmless as well
Teachers
as
and
the
students.
district. Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Trahan, Chris Trahan next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Christopher Trahan, and my address is already on record. My teaching career started in the 2007-2008 academic year. To date, I bring roughly 14 years of experience to the table. With that, you'll find my Master's of Education, 2 guest speaking experiences at separate universities regarding Holocaust education, participation in a Holocaust symposium through the University of Florida, and a study abroad program during my graduate studies through Kingston University in England. This is what I bring into my classroom every single day. And there are teachers in this county with more experience than me. Looking at this, I must take issue with the fact that this body values that experience and its veterans at 1.28%. To be told that a veteran teachers during a crisis year are only worth $500 to $600 is an affront to every teacher here, both new and experienced. I would encourage every starting teacher to pay very close attention to how this district values and treats those teachers that have forged their careers here. You will more than likely find yourselves standing where many of us are standing right now, out in the cold. For the record, this is not about new teachers seeing a stronger starting salary. I can't think of a single teacher that would argue against that. The law dictating the starting salaries for new teachers is clear on the matter. This is about you, our employer, respecting all of your teachers and employees. Year after year, in the best of times and the worst of times, we are told that you need to save for that impending rainy day. What do you call teaching in the middle of a global pandemic? What do you call last March, where we packed up our classrooms and redesigned our curriculums to teach online overnight? I'm sorry, but the storm is no longer coming. It is here. And your employees are in the eye of that storm right now. I'm fortunate that my wife and I have been able to maintain dual income status during this crisis. But how many of my colleagues can say that? How many have found themselves as the lone financial provider for their families during this time. You are sitting on the healthiest general fund balance this district has ever seen. We have just seen the passage of the sales tax that will alleviate the financial burden that our property repairers represent. You have the $1.8 million that CCEA proposed that would give your veteran teachers their lifeline. Your own bargaining team called that proposal reasonable, yet you rejected it. I respectfully remind this board that the last time that we went to impasse, we had the previous superintendent, or former superintendent, and board member that were unseated. And one of those members was recently defeated again in an election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trahan. Ms. Baptiste? Dunia Jean-Baptiste?
Good evening. My name is Dunia Jean-Baptiste, and my record is on file. I tend to speak from the heart because my heart, my words, they're all me. I am standing here because I totally support making sure that new teachers get compensated because I've been a teacher for 24 years, so I understand about not receiving proper compensation. What I have a difficulty with is being praised for the work that I do. I taught at Charles E. Bennett, 6th grade, when they became an A school. I taught at Dr. Zenlin while I dealt with my mother dying and I suffered through cancer, and my students excelled. I work with lower quartile students. Several of them went from level 1s to level 3s to level 4s. I did my job. What I take issue with is the fact that several of you sit on the board as the leaders that we have elected in order to do what is right. I would like for you to explain to me how my 24 years of service, working with students, going above and beyond, is somehow not worthy of compensation. I would like for you to explain to me how I work with students who do not believe in themselves. I went from elementary school to high school. I continue to work with lower quartile students. I work with juniors and seniors who think that their graduation is something that will not occur. I make sure that they understand that I believe in them. I make sure they understand that they can achieve. I make sure that they understand that they have options. I don't just cover their reading skills. I cover life skills. From day one of being a teacher, I teach my students above and beyond the standards that I am required to teach because I want for them to understand that they have an obligation, ethically and morally and civically. I am asking you to put your money where your mouth is. Please stop praising me and the work that I do if you are not going to back it up with action. I am a person of my word. That is my reputation. People that I work with will tell you that, and my students will tell you that. You can take Ms. Jean-Baptiste at her word because that's the best thing I've got going for me. I figure I have an obligation. If I want them to excel and have high standards, I have to model it, not once, not twice, but daily. I have to take ownership for my mistakes so that they understand that I am human, and you should be humble. When you are an heir, you should own it. The decisions that you have made recently, I feel that you are an heir. How in the world are you asking veteran teachers to be mentor teachers to new teachers, not compensate them? I was here just Monday, and some weeks before I was here, and I watched Teachers of the Year honor and recognize teachers that were their teachers. So now you want me and other teachers to bring teachers into the fold. So what? So years from now you can tell them they'll get X amount, but you won't. I just want for you to do what's right. Right now, I am disappointed, and let me tell you, that's worse than being me being angry.
Ms.
I am
Jean-Baptiste,
disappointed.
I'm
Please
sorry
do
you're
what's
out of
right.
time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Leah Norton?
Good evening. My name is Leah Norton, and my address is on file. And I am following the others saying the same exact thing, that we all agree that new teachers do deserve to get paid more. Do you all agree that all teachers need to get paid more? Okay, so some of you are nodding your heads, some of you aren't. I know that some of you are brand new to the school board and supposedly said that teachers don't need to be paid more. And again, that's what I've heard from other people. It is hearsay. I always tell my students, of course, to make sure they have the facts, but that is what has been said. I have been teaching for 14 years. I have gone and gotten my master's degree in education within the last 5 years. I also am one of the teachers who started the brand new Montessori program in the district, which has been extremely successful. I work over the summer. I haven't had a summer off actually in like 4 or 5 years because of my master's and also getting, the Montessori certification. I work summers, I work a lot of weekends, I work nights. And I've been given the title of high impact teacher for several years in a row when I had tested students. I was one of the first people that was on the Superintendent Teacher Advisory Council and sat in an interview with Mr. Davis, the last superintendent, and Mr. Broski. Thank you for accepting me to that position. And I do a lot for my students. My students are like my family. Their parents are like my family. So that is one picture. The other picture is that I'm 42 years old. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment by myself. I take care of myself. I recently went to the doctor, and I don't like to air my dirty laundry, but I think it's important for you all to know that I've been told that I have to have some pre-cancer screening done. I went in there to the office, was told I have to pay $384 to have it done because the insurance isn't very good. And I had a complete breakdown, an anxiety attack in the office, was pulled to the back and told them I need to wrap my head around it and I'll have to reschedule. So when I'm deciding whether or not I should get the screening done to see if I have cancerous cells, because I can't afford it, and I know that I'm going to get like a $600 raise, it's really disturbing to me because I put my heart and my soul into this job. I don't want to leave Clay County District. I love my students. I'm very blessed with the fact that I can be with them for the next 3 years, which is amazing. And yet I still question whether or not I should stay. Because at the end of the day, I also have to be able to take care of myself. And when my students grow up, if they're in the same position, I would tell them, you have to do what is right for you, because you can't help others if you can't help yourself. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Norton. Jennifer Corona?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Corona. I live at 2285 Marsh Hawk Lane. I'm standing here today as a new teacher. It's my second year in Clay County, my 4th year overall teaching. Last year was a wild year to be a newer teacher. And I have to say, who has molded me into the teacher I am today more than trainings, coaches, administrators? They are the veteran teachers. Trainings, they're good. I remember the information, but who do I go to when I forget the information? The veteran teachers. And I can't imagine a school district if our veteran teachers leave because they have to go get a job where they need to take care of themselves more, where it's struggling teachers trying to teach struggling students, but also trying to teach other struggling teachers, That would be just pure chaos. And it's really unfair to the students because I know as a struggling teacher, every teacher says it in their first few years, oh, I wish I could have a redo with my first few years. And I feel that way too. I'm pretty ordinary. I'm still trying to get the ropes of the job while doing my best for these students because that's what they deserve. And no teacher can do their best unless they're able to fully take care of themselves. If this is the way that teaching is going to go that teachers are forced to get second or third jobs just to take care of themselves, they can't pay medical bills, then this career is just not sustainable for me. And I wish that wasn't the case, because I really do love my job. I may not go in there every day, absolutely loving everything, but I really do love my job. I love the school I'm at. I love Clay County. I was a student of Clay County, and I came back because I love it here, and I want to continue to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Jake Askey?
Members of the board, please excuse my lack of formality. This would be the first time I've done anything like this. My name's Jake Askey. I live at 1308 North Street. Can't even remember my own address. That's a good sign as a teacher. I don't really have a dog in this fight. I am a fifth-year teacher. I actually graduated with a law degree, and I got a law degree at the wrong time. And so I kind of went into education sideways and have been there for about 5 years. That said, you guys have got me for about 1 to 2 years. I'm not going to see the veteran teacher pay thing. I'll get whatever pay raise the governor and all of them decided on, at least briefly. But the truth is, there's a whole lot of reasons that aren't your fault, which is why education is going bad. It just is. And if you want to talk to me about it later, I can tell you all about it. But I'm done. And it's not even your fault. But these people right here, especially the ones who are, a little angry about the pay thing, that's who you're going to be trusting your children to for the next 20 to 30, not me. I know you can't make the governor take it back. I know you can't. I know you want to attract new teachers or whatever, but that's where your kids are. And that's probably where your money should go. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Edna Flores?
Good evening. My name is Edna Flores. I live at 3153 Holly Green Loop in Green Cove Springs. I stand before you today not only as a teacher, but as a stakeholder on many levels. I live in this county. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a teacher, and my most important job is I'm a parent to 2 children in Clay County schools. As a taxpayer, part of the reason why I chose to bring my money to Clay County is because I was told by Denise Adams that the school board was where it was at, and it was a good place to work, and it was a good place to be. I take pride in the fact that I work in an A district, and I would like to see it continue to be an A district. That will not happen if we cannot support our teachers. They will leave, and we will be taught with new teachers who are figuring out. As a teacher, this year, with the only 1.28%, I stand to make less money than I made last year, because last year I qualified for Best and Brightest on 2 different levels. So not only am I not getting compensated as well and getting a raise like other people who started after me that I am called on to mentor and share lesson plans with, I'm actually taking home less money. Most importantly, as I said before, I'm a parent. I have 2 children in Clay County schools. One is dyslexic and is in special education. The other is on the other end of the spectrum, is highly intelligent, and is in the collegiate program. Both of my kids have benefited greatly from the experience of the teachers in Clay County. If I were a new parent looking today, I'm not sure I would make the same decisions for my children, knowing that so many teachers are upset and looking for jobs elsewhere. If we want to maintain our school systems and we want to maintain our kids, please support our veteran teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Edna. That is the end of our public comment for this meeting. We will move on to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Ms. Karakis moved approval, and Ms. Bullock seconded the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Did yours come up?
Yes, it did.
Mine didn't come up.
Bonnie, can you just take care of voting for Tina?
Mine didn't
It
pop
didn't
up.
come up at all?
She's got you.
Okay. We've got it. Thank you.
Whoops. Now I have whoops.
Okay. We'll have now an update from CCA. Ms. Kidwell?
Good evening. I'm Vicki Kidwell, CCA president. In this position, it's my responsibility and privilege to voice the concerns and lobby on behalf of the professional educators in Clay County. In the last few months, the district and CCA have undertaken a very daunting task. We have tried to breach a minefield called the Teacher Salary Increase Allocation, TSIA. There's no one I know familiar with this law who thinks it's fair, logical, or helpful to a profession that we all know is in crisis. Currently, Florida teacher salaries lag at 47th in a nation of 50 states. In this law, the state invests long overdue funding to increase Florida's teacher salaries. However, the inequity embedded in the crafting of this law creates winners and losers in a profession that's already beleaguered. TSIA funds provide needed salary increases to about a third of our lowest paid teachers. Our beginning teachers deserve and need their salary increased, and we all recognize that fact. However, nearly 2/3 of our teachers are left behind to split a fraction of the money available. The veteran teachers, which are our most experienced professionals, deserve to have a competitive salary as well, but are left instead with a salary increase of 1.28%. And so the state, defying logic and wisdom, has left most of our teachers out of their salary fix. But it's the Christmas season, and to me, that's a season of hope. We have reason to hope because last week, the DOE issued a new emergency order. This emergency order preserves funding for virtual options like One Clay Online. And it dramatically reduces the loss in funding from reduced FTE numbers, which affect 47 counties in the state of 67 counties. The EO stabilizes our funding through the end of the school year, and that is a huge relief in this uncertain time. I am hopeful that the district might view the emergency order with relief and that it will alleviate much of your budget fears. I am hopeful that our school board will feel empowered to do the right thing for the majority of our teachers who are left behind in the state's move to increase teacher salaries. I am hopeful that there can be a resolution to our impasse. This is the season of hope, and I really believe our school board and our superintendent want to do the right thing for our teachers who are dedicated veterans in Clay. With this emergency order, the district has an opportunity to repair some of the damage done to veteran teachers by the state's short-sighted fix. The district has an opportunity to be bold and demonstrate some much-needed goodwill to Clay's veteran teachers, and I hope you can.
Thank you, Ms. Kidwell. Is there anyone here from CESPA to speak? All right. We will continue on then. Superintendent's update and presentation, Mr. Roski.
Good evening. I only have 52 slides today, so just hang in there. Just have a couple of items that I would like to, there we go. Second semester enrollment, where are we with that? Quarter one grades and iReady comparison. Want to update you on the new quarantine guidelines from the CDC and the Department of Health, Clay County. Winter break reminders, and then of course the old happy holidays. This is our last, official board meeting before that. So if you recall, I showed you this chart before, and what this chart illustrates is roughly about 2,400 students coming back from One Clay Online to brick and mortar, as well as almost 1,000 if you add up the CVA and the One Clay Online coming back to the brick and mortar setting. So I put it in a different format for you so you can see it differently. From CVA, about 1,045 students. Don't get fixated on the number because the number fluctuates a little bit. And almost 3,000 from One Clay Online returning back to brick and mortar. I'd also, set up for the board and anybody else that's out there listening that Clay County had one of the highest percentages of brick and mortar students to begin with, right? So clearly our community has spoken, and teachers in the classroom know that the gold standard is, of course, a teacher in the classroom in a traditional setting. So when you look at Clay Virtual Academy, and certainly online education is very strong for some individuals, and for others it's just not. And so we had students that in the fall of 2020, we had about 1,900. Then the spring, we're projecting about 862, so that's a reduction of about 1045 coming back to the brick and mortar. One Clay Online enrollment, you can see where we were, about 6,100 in the fall of 2020. The spring, we're looking at about 3,204, which means the difference of almost 3,000, 2,900 around there coming back. So before I show you this next part, I just want to kind of explain the process to you. So obviously we've polled our parents and asked parents for what they would like to do with their child. And we did that before the executive order had occurred. The executive order, one of the things that was outlined in the executive order by the commissioner was that if a child is not being successful in an online type platform, that it really doesn't make sense for them to continue in an online platform. So the commissioner's order strongly suggests that students that aren't being successful, that they come back to the brick and mortar. And so I know that principals and guidance counselors and success teams have reached out to parents, encouraging them to come back. At the end of the day, the executive order also makes it clear that a parent has the right to choose at the end of the day. So if the parent decides at the end, despite the advice and the recommendation of the educational professionals, decides to keep their child in the current format, we of course would honor that. And we're very thankful for the executive order because it does continue the funding for One Clay Online, allowing people to have options. I think the writing in the executive order is more or less just to say, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you're not successful to continue doing what you're doing. You ought to look for another option. One of the things that was most striking or most worried about was what we were going to call the COVID slide. That each summer we're particularly concerned about students not being engaged in learning and what happens to them academically over a summertime. So we weren't quite sure what would happen over a pandemic, right? In many, many months since March, really, this disruption to the educational environment. So I do have some interesting data. If you take a look, the number of students in 2019 during the first quarter that had a D or an F on their report card was about 8,500. And you could see for 2020 now was about 8,400. So even a little bit less. I was particularly concerned that students weren't engaging and students would be failing classes, et cetera. But that kind of dispels that concern. And then you could see for unweighted average GPA for the first quarter, You can see that it's relatively close, 3.036 for last year, 2.943 for this year, for the first quarter. These, I know you can't see the numbers, but what I wanted to do was just kind of, you can just look up there visually and you can see the colors, I hope, and maybe not be able to read anything. But what that kind of shows is the 18-19 school year on the left. In the middle is the 19-20 school year. And then the right is the 20-21 school year. And you can see, and what that illustrates, although you probably won't be able to read the numbers and the wording from where you're sitting, what it illustrates is that, yes, it is true that academically, at least based on iReady math, K through 6, students had decreased slightly over time. This decrease is nowhere near where we all thought it would be, right? So this is, while it is going down, and it's never good to go down, we're pleasantly surprised by how students have done on their iReady math K6. Same sort of thing in 7-8. You can just see by the colors how they relatively match up. The first two items were where we had different students taking the assessment without the Algebra 1 students included. So there was a big difference there between those 2 years as to the base of students that were actually assessed in that particular assessment. Here you have reading K6. You can see a similar pattern. If you just kind of look at the colors going across, you're looking across 3 years from top to bottom of students taking iReady in K6. So the whole message there was that there's a lot of hope when it comes to students academically, and programs that are research-based, such as iReady, Achieve, et cetera, that are nationally normed and nationally tested, are proving that our students aren't as far behind as we anticipated they would be. And I think that's because we had an abundance of students coming back to the brick and mortar setting. And of course, some great teachers out there doing a good job with students. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the updated quarantine guidelines. Let me just say this, one of the challenges this year, it seems to be an ever-changing environment, right? We've gone through, if you look back to where we started in March to where we are now, you see an evolution of thought that goes into the science behind the virus, and it's kind of natural that changes would occur as more information becomes available. You know that the CDC recently recommended that the quarantine, the number of days in a quarantine period would go from 14 to 10 days. And the Clay County Health Department, who we work collaboratively with, finally put out a press release more or less saying they are going to honor the 10 days of quarantine. But I also want to remind people that it takes a little bit of personal responsibility, okay? If you're sick, please stay home. Don't come to school, right? And if anyone in your home is symptomatic and awaiting test results, please don't come to work or send children to school, depending on your personal situation. It's really going to take a team effort. It's really going to take personal responsibility on everyone's part in order to keep our schools operating at mitigating the virus to the greatest extent possible, right? So I greatly appreciate that. Some winter break reminders, timeline. Winter break begins the 23rd. If you recall, we had to change the calendar as at the beginning of the school year. So there were some changes. So parents, if you're home looking at an old calendar that you had on the refrigerator from, back, by summertime, you might want to take a look at your calendar. There's school in session until winter break begins on Wednesday the 23rd. Teachers return. There's a professional development day on January 4th. Students return back to campus on January 5th. The district offices are open until Friday, December 25th through January 1st. So just a reminder, because every once in a while, I do get a call or an email saying, hey, the calendar that I have on my refrigerator says, I said, well, there's a new calendar, and so I just want to give everybody that quick reminder. And I just want to say happy holidays to everybody. There's a lot to be thankful for, I'm thankful for the board, and I'm thankful for the collaboration that the board has towards our mission of providing the best educational environment for our students and our employees. So I greatly appreciate that. I also just want to tell everybody that I heard today, you know, people don't realize I'm an intense note taker. I'm an intense note keeper too, by the way. Like I can find notes from years ago. It's just because I think that means my memory is not very good if I have to write notes all the time. But I just want to say that I listened intently to what was said today, and I know that you spoke from the heart. And, you know, I just want to tell you, it didn't fall on deaf ears, and I thank everyone.
I think that goes for all of us. Thank you, Mr. Broski. Mr. Broski, we're going to continue with the discussion agenda, and D1 is the 2021 legislative priorities. And if you would take us through that. I don't know if we're going to put it up.
We need a motion and a second before we do anything.
Correct. And would someone like to move?
I'll move approval.
Thank you, Ms. Karakis.
I'll
And
second.
Ms. Gilhausen. Now discussion. Thank you.
Do you want me to discuss, or did you want to talk about
Did you
them,
want to
or-
start with it, or do you want us to?
I did not, but I think that it encompasses all of the areas that are traditionally banes of public education, which is funding, assessment,
Right.
and investing in students.
Ms. Mace brought Mace brought up the topic of opting out and giving the students the opportunity. And as I was looking at this, I was looking at as it says, hold schools harmless on assigning school grades. Ms. Karakis, you were going to say something
I was just
earlier.
going to, like you, I was going to say, can we incorporate that in there somewhere?
That's what
Because,
I would like to do
you know, it is very important that this particular year in particular was, you know, to quote Mr. Broski, I won't even say it, I'm not going to say it.
Unprecedented.
But it certainly was, and we shouldn't be penalizing our teachers, our students, you know, or anybody for it, because, I mean, we did see, you know, things have dropped a little bit, and it's to be, you know, it's understandable with, you know, what the kids have had to deal with, and learning digitally or virtually is a challenge for a lot of us, and, you know, some teachers have had to teach virtually, which is a challenge.
Absolutely.
And so I think it would be wise for us to add, to hold them harmless, students and teachers in addition to it. Ms. Mace, thank you for bringing that to our attention, that we didn't recognize that.
Yep.
I'm in agreement.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bullock, did you have anything that you wanted
No,
to
I
add
agree,
to
I
that?
agree with that. I think we
Or
should do
Ms.
that
Clark?
too.
Awesome. I'm totally in agreement as well. And I guess the frustration with this also is that those students who are the one Clay online are going to be required to come to the schools to take the test.
Right.
And they've not had any opportunity, particularly our younger students, I'm thinking third graders, I mean, my mind just, in the information that you gave us, Mr. Roski, I was seriously assuming that it was going to be flipped, that we would have more elementary students coming back, and that we'd have more of the high school and junior high students staying home. And it was totally the opposite of what I was anticipating.
It's a surprise.
And when I saw that, I truly that came right back to what Ms. Mace was talking about, and it was like, oh, those students are not going to be, I mean, there's just so much to be said for being in the classroom and understanding that throughout the entire year. So I think that we could add that under the state assessments and testing in that section.
Mr. Bickner, will I need to restate the motion, or can we just approve it with that minor?
Change.
Based on what I hear you saying, this isn't just a matter of repairing something that was stenographically done. This is a substantive change.
Okay.
I think if you're going to do that, you're going to have to bring it back on the next board meeting. I was just thinking about that, though, from the perspective of how you can amend it and then bring it back sooner than January. I think looking at 120.525 just now, with the chair's permission, if she deems that to be either an emergency or critical, or that there is good cause to bring this back rather than wait until January. You could put it on the agenda for the 17th.
Couldn't I just amend my motion to include that, the wording of teachers and students as well as the district?
No.
No. Okay,
You can do that, but it's incorrect under 120.
okay.
On the 15th or the 17th? What?
The 17th is the special meeting
Okay.
for the
Yeah,
the
we have to take
policy,
action,
the
so it has to
policy
be
for
the 17th, yeah,
The next meeting of the board is January 7th.
right.
The legislature does not meet until March,
March, so we can.
technically. So I think that we
Yeah.
could wait
We
until
can wait.
January. I'd rather not say that it's an emergency
It's
item
not,
per
yeah.
se.
It doesn't meet the standard.
And what I would like us to do, and this is totally coming from a legislative advocacy, they've changed the name of the legislative liaison with the FSBA to advocacy.
Right.
And I don't know if this is all possible, but I think it would be ideal if we could submit not only our legislative agenda from the county, but somehow capture the comments that were made at the podium tonight. And definitely provide that to our legislative group in Northeast Florida. I'm talking about Senator Bradley, I'm talking about Representative Garrison. I have to remember the names now. But then possibly even sharing it with some members of the education committees as well, since we may not have the opportunity to go to Tallahassee this year.
Right.
So just a thought. And here again, I'd have to look into what that would take and
Well, we have some great
Public
IT guys.
forum. I
Maybe
mean,
they could
the-
put together something that could be put on a flash drive.
everything
or
was, I mean,
a Google
the
link.
proverbial nail was hit on the head tonight.
Right.
And it needs to go to Tallahassee.
Right.
Well, with the consideration that so much has gone digital, I don't see why we couldn't have a digital presentation to send with our legislative priorities.
I think that's a
that-
great idea.
I mean, it would, we can say so much, but this is coming from the heart. This is coming from literally the front lines. And that's what they need to hear.
Exactly.
So
Okay.
we will table
May-
sorry,
may I be-
what's
may I
the
be heard?
procedure now?
The appropriate motion at this point would be to postpone to a time certain, which would be the next meeting, January the 7th. And it requires a second and
I so move.
So,
And I'll
Second.
second. Do we have to do anything
Don't-
with the original motion?
we still
I
have,
assume you withdrew it.
I
thought
withdrew
you
my
said you did.
original motion.
so,
Tina withdraws her second.
okay, so everything in that first motion, and I believe it was Ms. Kerkus who made the motion, Ms. Bullock who seconded it, has been withdrawn. The new motion is that we bring this back to the January 7th meeting with the appropriate changes. And that was moved by Ms. Gilhousen and seconded by Ms. Kerkus, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
That's correct.
Whoa, and I didn't write any of that down. I'm pretty proud. Any other discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't think so. Motion passes unanimously. I have to get back there. Very good. All right. Our next discussion item, Spring 2021 Educational Plan and Assurances. Mr. Broski? I'm sorry. I'll get this right. I
you're
promise
doing
I
fine.
will.
You're
I will
doing
get this
fine.
right. I would like a motion.
I so move.
Thank you, Ms. Bullock. A second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ms. Kerkus. Now, discussion regarding the educational plan and assurances.
If you'd like to.
You would like to?
Yes, let me just say that as a result of the emergency order, a lot of things changed. And in the emergency order, it says that each school district will provide the DOE what they're referring to as an education plan and assurances. There's 7 assurances that are in the document. This enables us to have the funding for OCO and our programs, and it's specifically outlined within the executive order. We've done that. We thought we were going to be first. The commissioner actually was the chancellor, and I said, would you mind taking a look at the plan? And he almost just put it right onto the website. I said, oh, well, our school board meeting is Thursday night. Can you wait till Friday before putting it on your website? They were impressed with the plan. They asked for a couple sentence revisions on a couple of things, nothing of substance. And so I feel very confident that the plan as written will be approved by DOE once we submit it tomorrow, assuming approval by the board.
Thank you to staff for being so prompt with that. I know there was a timeline, and
Madam-
you've
Madam
done a
Chair,
great
may I
job.
be
Thank you.
heard?
I'm sorry?
May
Yes.
As a matter of clarification, just so that the motion is absolutely clear, because it's important in this instance, it's recommended in a very specific way on the agenda item. And so my understanding is from the motion and from the second that the motion is to adopt exactly as it is set forth in the recommendations on the agenda. Would that be correct?
Correct.
Okay, just that has to be clear.
Is that,
On this particular one, it's very important.
is there a difference with
Is
what's
there
on
a-
the backup and the minor changes that were made?
No.
Okay,
It's the language that's in the recommendation is specific.
okay.
And so it's important that it's passed in that way. In the instance that there is some recommendation for change from DOE or some other need to alter slightly in the future, in line with the intent of what's there, the motion as on the recommendation covers that. And that's why
see.
it's important.
Do we need to restate it?
Well, from my understanding, let's make certain that we have the motion correct. The motion was to approve the spring 2021 educational plan and assurances. Is that correct? Is that what you
As-
heard?
As recommended in the agenda item.
As recommended in the agenda-backed item, yes.
And that's
Is
what you
that-
just agreed to, so
That's
I.
what I wanted to
Correct.
make certain that
That's
we
correct.
we were talking about the right thing. All right. So we've had a motion by Ms. Bullock, a second by Ms. Kirkus. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same. Hearing no opposition, this is approved unanimously. Awesome. Good job. There are no human resources special actions this evening. And I hope I do this right, so if I miss something, let me know, please. I will open the public hearing to approve as advertised the 2019-2020 through 2021-22 Special Policies and Procedures Manual. Is there anyone who wishes to address this board regarding this public hearing? Seeing no one running up to the podium, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. Can I hear a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Ms. Gilhausen has moved approval, and Ms. Bullock has seconded it. Is there any discussion regarding this? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0. There was one item that was pulled from the consent agenda, C16, which regarded the RFP to be awarded, and it was pulled by Ms. Gilhausen.
Yes, just to state for the public record, this RFP involves a company that is owned and operated by my brother and my father, so I will be recusing myself from this item and will not be voting.
Okay, so stepping back. Do I have a motion to approve?
Actually, I would like to amend this to table this particular item if possible. And I'm not sure if I'm doing this properly, but that's what I'd like to do. Okay.
It would probably, a motion to table sends something off into Neverland, and you have to remember to bring it back.
Okay.
It would either be a motion to postpone to a time certain or a motion to postpone indefinitely. Indefinitely does the same thing as tabling, which sends it off to Neverland, and you have to somehow bring it back. The maximum time you can postpone is for one meeting.
Okay.
So that's your motion is to
I'll
postpone.
second her table motion.
I would recommend not doing a table motion. I would do a postponement.
Postpone.
Wait a second, there's a
There
motion
is a
on the
motion on the-
floor and a second, so we do need to address this motion first.
Which do you want it to be, as it goes?
And Ms. Bullock, you were making the motion. Could you clarify your motion?
I really, well, I want to bring it back, but I want to postpone it, I guess is the better word for that. I need-
And do we specify then when
It
that,
needs to be
what
either
date?
to a time certain or indefinite.
Okay, so that would be our next board meeting, is that correct?
January 7th?
January the 7th.
So we both need to withdraw the
Well-
motion to table.
We were clarifying her motion.
Oh, okay,
And you had seconded,
right.
and are you agreeing with it,
So
to second that motion?
I'm asking, is Tina, is she moving to table this item till the next board meeting? Or does she need to restate it as postponed to the next board meeting?
She just I'm sorry.
Postpone to the next
As I
board.
understood, she restated it to
Okay,
postpone to a
very
time
good.
certain of the next board meeting.
All right, then I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved to, it's been moved to postpone to the January 7th board meeting and second by Ms. Karakis. Do we then discuss the postponement?
Yes.
Can we discuss the RFP?
You discussed the motion which is before you as a
Is the
postponement.
postponement? Is there discussion regarding the postponement?
And the reasons for it could include discussing the RFP if you think that's necessary.
So should we be calling it a postponement or tabled?
It's
Well,
postponement.
It is, okay.
It's going to come back January 7th
Right.
at this state.
Okay.
If this motion passes, it would come back at the January 7th meeting.
Okay, I had some questions, and that's why I want to, that I need answered. One, there were quite a price difference between on 15 and 16 between the two companies. I mean, and in some items, a large amount. And so I wanted that cleared up. Was something left off? Was it not recorded correctly? So that's one of the things. Also, I want to make sure that this is a need, not a want, because I haven't had any athletic directors complain to me, but that doesn't mean they haven't come to the district with concerns about the spending. Also, on the initial thing, we were originally told it was from internal funds that the money came from, but it says general funds and internal funds. So that's a concern of mine. Where is the money coming from besides internal funds? So I just had a lot of some questions about it. That's why I want to get those answered. And
Well, I also had some concerns about it, and I brought this up with Ms. Ellis at our agenda review, that the backup, the first backup page, not the attachments, it says it's a 3-year contract for the two companies, and it says the financial impact, I'm going to read it because I want to get it right. The financial impact is estimated $150,000 for contract period from general and internal accounts. That sounded to me like $150,000 for the 3-year period. But Ms. Ellis told me, no, it's $150,000 per year, and then that's $450,000
company,
over the
right?
3 years, and it's two companies. So I'm very concerned. I mean, we're at, impasse, and we're looking at possibly $900,000 on our sports fields. And although we do want our fields to look great, and I do think a lot of them look great, I don't know what's wrong with what we're doing right now. But this seems like, you said it perfectly, is it a need or a want? And I'm kind of concerned that this may be more of a want than anything else. I actually went through and read them, and I saw that, I think it's the two contracts to aerate the fields. One of them was very cheap at $125 an acre, and the other one was $1,250 an acre. So I'm wondering, is that a typo? Is there a problem? Is it $1,250 or is it $125? I mean, the $125 was great, so I'm concerned about that. So I feel like this first page of the backup is inaccurate information. If it's $50,000 a year, then it should say that. If it's $150,000 a year, it should say that. If it's $150,000 a year, and this says for the term of the contract, which is 3 years, it should say $450,000. And I feel like it's a little misleading. So I'm glad you're tabling it, because I did have concerns, and I brought them up, like I said, with Ms. Ellis at our agenda review. And it does say in here, general and internal accounts. But we were told at the agenda review, it's just the school district internal accounts. So I feel like that's also misleading. And it's just a little sloppy, and so we need to do better than that. So, you know, I'm concerned about the money, but also if we're going to vote on something, we need to make sure that we get it right.
Yes, I understand.
That,
It's been, any other further discussion? Not looking at you because you're not voting anyway.
Not looking at you, but I am looking at you.
Just count it. Any
And
other
Ms.
discussion?
Gillhausen, we appreciate that you are recusing
Yeah, I do.
yourself.
I
And
do.
I know it's
Appreciate
very
it.
hard to sit there and just be
No, no,
quiet.
someone say-
You can't participate, and so, you know, please don't take anything.
So, and what I'm hearing you say, and I guess I could say this during the discussion, what I'm hearing you say is that you need more information.
That's correct. That's
So
exactly what I
perhaps,
I would like more.
perhaps, from Ms. Stafey or from Mr. Scrumolo, who handles all the athletic or works with all the athletic departments, further information about
How much we're spending now?
bingo.
And then
what-
how
And
much-
what schools use,
Right.
what
Right.
schools use,
Exactly. The
what
school use-
services.
exactly.
A little bit more background information and how it's spent. I
Yes,
mean,
I'm glad you touched on that, because I actually wrote that down. And Mr. Brodsky, I see you're taking notes, and I appreciate that. If we could get a list of all maintenance services for any companies, not just these two, but any that we've been using, say, over the last 5 years, the services that they do for us, what the cost is, what we're paying, and which schools are using them, because I know it's for junior high and high school, but not all schools are using these programs, in which the nice thing about this was it is à la carte.
right.
It's not locked in, but, you know, the contract, when I read it, actually says, it's very broad. I mean, they gave the prices for the athletic fields, but then somewhere buried in that main part of the contract, it talks about the entire school, the entire district, the front of the schools. And, you know, I'm a little worried that we're going to turn around and be outsourcing even more than what we are. And, you know, I have had people contact me about, as we said at the agenda review, the, you know, the custodial and the lawn maintenance already. You know,
We all
and
have, yes.
I guess one other thing is does this fall under our athletic director's job description and the supplements that they're receiving already for this? Are they receiving it for this? I guess those are my questions. But again, if you can get us a list of, you know, what services have been provided, what we're paying, and you know what else might be helpful? I think you said it at the agenda review that the athletic director at Keystone went out and bought his own aerator.
He has his own
Because it was
aerator.
cheaper. So what equipment do we currently have that could be doing this stuff?
And and in the same vein, what can't we do?
Right?
Because there are parts of this that we
Right.
need somebody who is
And we
certified in
probably
order
are
to do.
right, or
And
yeah.
each of those companies had
Exactly.
that certification. So
we
that
probably
we
are
want to make
contracted.
sure that that's available if needed as well. Because there's stuff that athletic directors legally can't do. I mean, that bottom line.
Yeah.
So we need to make certain of that as well. So basically,
Which is
just further
why it's been
information to,
working all along up until that, you know, $50,000 threshold, the à la carte, you know, the things that they need to do, they've been doing. But, and this is concerning to me also that it's a little misleading, so.
So through the chair, if I could.
please.
So I took good notes, but I'll go back and watch the video. We'll provide.
Do you want me to email it to you,
We'll,
my
we'll,
questions?
we'll go back and we'll
Okay.
watch it and make sure that we'll put out what we think answers all the questions.
You're afraid I'll think of more.
That email's
I
gonna get
didn't say
longer.
that. I didn't say that, Ms. Karakis. So I'll go ahead and I'll put it out to you. And then if there's additional questions,
We
we'll
can add
reach,
to it.
you can add to it
Thank you.
or we'll deal with it. that
Appreciate
way.
it.
Any further discussion? Questions, whatever? Okay, so we have a motion, pardon me, to postpone the RFP to be awarded, this item, to the January 7th meeting. And the motion was made by Ms. Bullock. It was seconded by Mrs. Karakis. Those of us who can vote signify by saying aye. If you are in favor of this, aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Bickner, do I need to click where it says abstain?
You
on
do.
here?
I'm sorry?
Do I click where it says abstain on here?
Abstain,
Yeah,
yes.
I would assume so, yes. I don't know what your
Mrs.
computer
Bull, you
says. so-
state that for the record.
I-
You state,
Thank you
For the
for
record.
the
Motion
motion
carries
carried
forward.
with Ms. Gilhousen abstaining. Thank you.
and I'm sorry.
No, no, I'm glad that you do that because, hey, first meeting, guys, I get to make mistakes this meeting and from here on out, no more well, maybe
You're
one or
doing,
two.
you're doing a fine
We'll
job.
see, we'll see. All right, we are at the end of our meeting, I believe. Let me double check everything here. Mr. Bickner, any comments?
My only comment, Ms. Bola, is that you have just been baptized and, and you've done an
Here's to you,
admirable
Mr.
job.
Bickner. Mr. Brodsky, any further comments or concerns, questions?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Start with Ms. Bullock this evening.
Oh,
Do
okay.
you mind? Trying to keep, even everybody.
Well, first
gets
of
to go
all, I want to apologize to the teachers who emailed me that I was unable to email them back. Actually, some of them I got while we were at the board meeting I saw, so I want to apologize. I can tell you that of all of those I've read and those people who spoke today, I've certainly taken all that to heart, and I certainly understand that our veteran teachers have done a phenomenal job, and I certainly understand that. I'd like to do a shout out to Keystone Heights High School. They were awarded #1 in the state in 4A, the state academic championship. The football team has a 3.347 cumulative GPA.
Wow.
And so throughout the whole state there. So
That's awesome.
So proud of that. Was in the Clay Elevate too, and I thank Nicole for putting that in. I'd like to thank the Wellness Committee for giving us our little, I'm not sure I have to use it, I have to have the instructions, I think, but, but I appreciate that very much too. And we all attended the FSBA conference, and so we're understand virtual sitting there all day, which was lengthy. So I'm glad that's over, and that was made for a long day doing that. And so I certainly understand our teachers and our students having to do that during the day. I can't think of anything else other than Merry Christmas to everybody, and I hope everybody has a great holiday.
Ms. Karakis?
Well, first of all, congratulations on your award. To
Thank
be
you.
recognized statewide is wonderful.
Thank you.
We're very proud of you, and congratulations on doing a good job as chairman tonight.
Thank you.
Just like to say to our teachers, I hear you. I hear you. And I did respond to almost all. For the few that I didn't, again, like Mrs. Bullock, I'll apologize, and I will get to them. If only the legislature would have allowed the teachers, the association and the district to just give us the funds and let us band it, negotiate, whatever. But the way they did it is just so frustrating. And I just know we hear you. And other than that, I know I had a list of things that I had written down, but I didn't bring it, so I don't remember it. So I
If you
wish
think of
everybody
anything, we'll call-
very
we'll
happy
come back.
holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and if I'm forgetting any others, happy that too. Thank you.
Ms. Clark?
I obviously enjoyed hearing from every teacher. I don't know out during the campaign what was stated, but I actually am one of those individuals that feel that teachers should be making far more for what you do. And coming from the business world, I'm still learning how the government operates and the mandate. So it's not easy to understand why we can't come to a solution and be fair. But I want you to know that. I don't know what was said. But my prayer this year is that we all go on holiday and that all our teachers, our staff, our parents, and our students return safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Gilhousen?
I echo what's been said already. I don't think that there's a more frustrating job as a school board member than figuring out the budget and how to make people feel the appreciation and importance that they hold in our hearts. It is hard to put a dollar amount to what a teacher does. I mean, I could name off the top of my head 3 teachers who made me who I am today. And I have read every email that has come in my inbox. It's frustrating that we can't sit down over a cup of coffee and talk about it. It's frustrating that I have to respond with something as simple as thank you, and thank you doesn't cut it. And I want you to know that I hear you and that my heart goes out. So it's frustrating, the legal aspects of impasse and bargaining and all of that, but if I can't say it any clearer than thank you for what you've sent to me, the stories that you've shared, and I hear you. And on that note, as we approach this season of, I know Thanksgiving's in the past, but for me, Christmas just continues a season of gratitude for all that personally God's done in my life and all that I know his plans for us are good, even when the world around us is chaos, that we can trust his goodness and his faithfulness. And I hope that this season is a season of, like you said, Ms. Kidwell, hope for a lot of people. I think that's what the world is in need of today more than anything else. So on that note, Ms. Bola.
Thank you. A quick note to board members, we have a workshop on Tuesday, and it will be a brief workshop most likely because we know Ms. Bullock needs to get out of town, or back to Keystone. I say out of town, back to Keystone. I would ask that you bring your calendars so that we can look at January for possible workshops that might need to come up for various items. Ditto. I don't know what else to say. Sitting here, there were many times that I was close to tears because I feel you. I feel your pain. And it's incredibly, incredibly frustrating from this side as well. I can't remember, I'm sorry, I can't think of your name off the top of my head, but when you said, do you want all teachers to have a raise? Inside, I was sitting here going, On the outside, we're told, you're not supposed to respond and we're not supposed to talk back. And, it's incredibly frustrating as well for many of us. And and it's such a shallow statement, but we truly do appreciate all that you do and can't thank you enough. And that I know that doesn't pay the bills, and I apologize for that. Looking forward to a few spelling bees. We're coming into the spelling bee season, so looking forward to seeing some friends in some schools and actually getting into some schools. It'll be fun. My sincere wish for all of you is a break from everything that you've been doing up to this point, an opportunity to spend time with your families. Take that opportunity, that week or two off, and enjoy the holidays, the happiest of holidays to each and every one of you. Thank you for all that you do. And as always, I'm not going to say roll tide, but as always, we hope you have a great holiday. Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.